I'll be back from the break. It's 1 minute past 8. You're still watching Smart Men's Business. I'm Andrew Barije with Marcy Katsime. This morning to review business. Well, right about now, we're heading straight to take a look at what's happening. Of course, when it comes to being inspired, business, on our business tips and quotes. As a young entrepreneur, a vibrant entrepreneur, it's very important for you to get inspired by the different aspects that you're pursuing into your career, or any other related different life projects that you are undertaking. But of course, before we get in there, don't forget the markets on the Zabo platform. Just 14 minutes left for the markets to open. And now for you to be a part of the Simply Day Stay tonight to hash. You'll be available with a number of options where you'll be able to buy government bonds and securities. Any of your choice. You could buy a 5-year bond, a month bonds that expire and last for a space of months. Any of your choice, but for just 15,000. Now, 8:15 a.m. till 3:15 p.m. And this is effective Monday up to Friday when you're there trading, making yourself quite some good money. Yes, now the markets are effective Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when you can access these markets. But now for this week, there are no public holidays. So you have quite a big chance for you to capitalize and make yourself quite some huge money. So you better position yourself accurately. Now, Zabo simply says, my money, my future. And Altex East Africa tells you, do something new for yourself in the year 2023. Well, right about now, let's take a look at our business tips and quotes. Yeah, being a leader is quite very influential. You know the way, you show the way, and of course you lead the way. You speak your words. I mean, that is something which, some people, when it comes most especially to youth in business, leadership factor is a key aspect, leadership function. If I have a vision of something that I want to do, my ability to be able to influence my staff to buy into this vision will determine how far I'm going to be at achieving it. There is a time whereby you're working for somebody, but that person, they don't feel like they even know what they want. And you, the person that you're working for them, you seem to have a clearer vision of what they're doing. And now that's a bad place to be as a CEO. You need to have a vision, and replicating. By the way, it's one thing to have a vision, but I believe it's much more better if you can replicate that vision into somebody else.
I must say, actually, we have had positions lately that are ceremonial.
Yeah.
Ceremonial positions. You just put in a position just for ceremonial purposes.
Ceremonial purposes.
Yes, you do not know what it means to be a leader. It's absurd actually when you see youth or your employees come and they go without learning a thing or two from you. I mean, what kind of impact have you given them? Little as it is, it's quite interesting. I always tell people that come around, if you've come, let's say for those that are at university and you in your internship, you have to go when you have where the company you've gone to, whichever course that you're doing and the place you're going for internship, you have to go with something. Don't live without anything, with nothing. You have to go with push them. There's some people that need pushing actually. You have to look for people. I'm telling you, some people are never available for the leaders. So you have to look for the leaders. Be a leader in yourself. Be a leader as a young person within. It starts within you. So push
yourself.
Push yourself to be advised, to be helped. You know, you can't sit there and expect, oh, someone will come and be like, okay, what is it? Are you fine? Are you okay? You have to push for what you want. So definitely, I must say, leaders. Actually, I must say, you know, we should have this debate. Actually, leaders are born, not men. You know, we had those debates.
Leaders are born and not men.
In high school and of course primary, and of course people had very, very, very funny arguments. But of course, leadership is a huge position. You have to inspire people. Wake up in the morning. You yourself has to be inspired in the morning. Then you have to go out there and inspire people regardless. Keep the pressure down. Keep calm. You know, as a leader, you have to be calm, I must say.
Absolutely.
You don't have to lash out. You have to understand. And it's
control emotions.
Yeah, control emotions. Because being in that position, really, you're going to interact with different people of different mindsets. You know, someone is maybe a bit slow, and maybe you as a leader, you want people who are
to go at a certain pace. So you need to be patient. In other words,
you have to be patient. Oh, that is one of the virtues of a good leader, patience, and you have to listen.
Either way, you have to be a good listener.
Yes.
And you see, at sometimes I look at this perspective from, you know, this thing of, because we've seen companies that have lasted for centuries. Till today, we still see their products, you know. And most especially the wines, these spirits that, you know, that come from abroad. Some we see them sponsoring sports events. But you see, I'm trying to imagine from the very first step that company was established. I mean, what did this person have in mind? You know, what the CEO. Then later they replicated what they have into somebody. They imparted what they knew into somebody, and now this person must be in position to have that aspect, you know, not to be indifferent when it comes to understanding the responsibility. You know, sometimes most of the people that we leave to lead us are indifferent to the responsibilities. They take it this whole aspect of, you know, I'm going to be a CEO, but you take it a part of you that you've been given a responsibility, generations. I mean, the mistake you're going to make right now is going to cause generations to come, because once this company is not here, some of the companies that would have depended on it are also going to suffer because you made a mistake from the very first place. So that aspect, of course, they say leaders are born, leaders are made. It can be two ways. You have some people are born with a gift of leadership, they can do it, but still that gift needs to be tamed for it to be essential, because it will still die out just like that. And some people that may not really necessarily, though by nature God created everyone with a capacity to lead, but there are those whereby it's a gift that exceeds others, you know. But still, despite the fact that you may not be having that gift into you, it can be groomed. You can you can expose yourself to quite lots of leaders. You're groomed, you're trained here, and you work on that. And before you know it, the spirit will catch you up, and you will be able to lead people actually in so many aspects: business, politics, you know, anything that is related to leadership. At the end of the day, destinations will be fulfilled, and in that way, definitely, there is no way the world wouldn't be a good place if we knew the responsibility that comes along with that. Definitely, trust me, these are principles that we don't really pay attention to, but they have quite a lot. They have quite a huge say when it comes to the well-being of humanity, and they have lots of answers that we are searching. Sometimes we are looking for answers, but we end up creating more questions.
Yes, definitely. I must agree with that. I've thought to myself at times, I ask myself, and the more I ask myself, the more I ask more questions. You know, the more you get the answer, but then you start questioning the answer as well. But of course, getting back to leadership, of course, as a leader, like I said earlier, understand your people, understand them, and understand the thing you're in.
Very true.
You know, there is this aspect of being in a position where you do not have knowledge whatsoever.
Knowledge is very
whatsoever,
knowledge and wisdom.
Knowledge and wisdom, and whatsoever you're involved in. So you cannot relate to the people, to your employees or the people you lead. You know, I've seen that sometimes. Some people find it difficult to relate.
to relate.
Yes, so definitely you have to have a little bit. That is why if someone is to be a leader, they have to have been in, let's say, in that sector or a line of business. You know?
Absolutely true.
Yes, because they can relate. They understand the situation. You come in, you tell them their challenge. You tell them, they tell you their challenges, and you can understand. You can relate. Like, I've been in there. I know how it feels.
Now it
So
feels.
you make them comfortable. Of course,
Experience. You have a substance.
yes, of course it helps, really, yeah. I shouldn't say just because some people, have had, I'd say, a good turn of life, so definitely, but then you still have to understand. Understanding is actually key.
Very true.
Yes.
Key aspect. And maybe just to add on what Mercy said, I talked about knowledge and wisdom. I mean, if I'm leading you and you read one book a day, if I be your leader, I ought to be reading 10 books a day.
Yes.
Because I cannot do the same things you do because I'm leading you. Otherwise, it will be like the blind leading the blind. So I have to be to a certain degree of knowledge and executing on the mature way of doing things. Well, that is it those were inspirations backed by our business tips and quotes for today, and hope you've been inspired as an entrepreneur and hoping that you're getting something from that. It could bail you out for the entire week, even a month or a year, depending on how you take it. That is very important to consider these quotes and tips. Well, right about now, let's take a look at what's trending on the social media. Now, this is that Joel Wakan says Rwanda is the second easiest place to do business in Africa. And that is according to the World Bank's doing business ranking. Of course, registering a business takes just 6 hours. It's free.
Wow.
Let's look at the opportunities in tourism.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The tourism actually, Rwanda actually in East Africa, Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, actually doing. Rwanda has gone by far in promoting their country.
Absolutely true.
The basketball tournaments and of course the shots for Emirates visit Rwanda. It's just a small country, but the impact it has caused is quite.
Very soon it's going to be our second world country. Second world, for first world. I mean, that's what they're aiming to. Now, there is this new technology. I think we should get some time to talk about it. This is at News Times Rwanda. Telecom companies in Rwanda are gearing up to launch the eSIM, embedded SIM cards. Now, an eSIM is a digital version of a physical SIM card with a virtual identifies your device, enabling network connectivity. Of course, here's what we need to know. The virtual SIM cards are digital. It's like how you download an application. So you can download this SIM card, and you can make a phone call at any part of the world. You don't need to. They're not limited that these ones we have. So and that's where the world is heading actually. eSIMs.
I like the fact that some countries are going technologically. They are going
and Rwanda is really pushing it up there. It's one of the countries in East Africa.
It's going digital. It's going
really.
Now this is Somalia. Rwanda was able to construct a solar power plant for $23.7 million. It generated 350 jobs, improved Rwanda's electricity production by 6%, and it powers 15,000 houses. Why isn't Somalia doing the same? Anyway, you have to understand actually your country. Of course, it leaves us with questions actually. When you see some
absolutely true.
When you see some other countries, and you're like, what is wrong with us? Why aren't we doing this?
Aren't we doing this?
Now, this is Signature Africa at Signature Africa Safaris. Gorilla trekking is a highlight in our Signature Safari adventures in Rwanda. We feature other destinations as well as including Nyungwe and
Kagera National
Park. Wow.
Yeah, gorilla trekking. Yeah, watching gorillas.
There's a lot of gorillas.
They do. Though in Uganda we still have the best features to really come and match up to, but that is okay. Now this is at Fact Zone. Rwanda built a solar power plant. It's at a cost of $23.7 million. Now it created 350 jobs, increased Rwanda's electricity production, that is by 6%, and provided energy to 15,000 homes.
It took only 6 months to complete. Wow, a record in Africa.
A record
Definitely.
in Africa, of course. Yesterday we looked at delayed projects which are not executed on a timely basis, and we're looking at how much money is lost as a result of that. And we see the commitment this country has may really put you to this place to get to know
that us questioning as like the Somali person questioned.
Sure.
Now this is Africa Facts Zone. At Africa Facts Zone, the cleanest city in Africa. I must agree. If you've been to Rwanda, it's purely clean.
It is.
The streets are clean. You can't see. You don't have plastics. No virus.
You can't let anything there.
No.
I mean, there are rules.
Kigali, Rwanda is the second leading destination for hosting global events in Africa. Have you seen the basketball courts, the indoor? Very, very interesting.
Yeah, recently they hosted, and then some NBA Africa.
Yeah.
They were in Rwanda.
Wow.
And of course, everything was just looking perfect and awesome for people. Now, this is what we call PR for your country. This is good.
Yes.
Now, this is at Hudson Wang One. Says by June 2nd, 2023, the Chinese embassy and Rwanda's Mine Coffin had exchanged letters to confirm that China would donate 500,000 US dollars assistance to Rwanda in order to contribute to the ongoing disaster relief efforts. Now, the friendship between China and Rwanda is higher than the mountains. I love the metaphor. Sounds like a poem, like a rap. The friendship between China and Rwanda is higher than mountains. Well,
it's top notch, really.
It's top notch. Yeah, it's really up there.
Yeah.
It's really up there. That's what we can say. Now this is at Agnant. This is Agnant Taste. It says this event clearly shows why infrastructure in events is important, as we as a country need to learn from Rwanda. This is a well-built facility that allows you to have several tiers of ticket and seating and gives each category an abstracted view. So any person that is in there, you can take a look at that. That is quite
it's like an indoor
yes,
basketball
absolutely
court or something.
Yeah, it looks really amazing and very beautiful. It might be hard for you to believe that it's actually in Rwanda, in East Africa. In other words, they're raising the bar high. That's what shows you how far they have gone when it comes to promoting their country through different aspects of life. Well, that is it for our social media trends this morning. And now let's cross over as we take a look at the education. This time around, like I said, it's the budget week, and tomorrow the budget is going to be officially read. And today we decided to dedicate it to the education sector. Now, of course, we need to realize that this sector was one of the last sectors to be increased funds before actually the appropriation bill was passed by Parliament. Of course, Parliament requested the Minister of Finance to add money that was supposed to be allocated to the Education Ministry. Well, reason being, this could have been one of the aspects when it comes to the new curriculum that has been developed. We need to understand that it's going to be quite a little bit costly when it comes to some schools executing that, and that's why it was very key and important that a certain amount of money was added onto that to make sure that it's quite very efficient. Now, part of this money will be used to rehabilitate, for example, the hostels at some of the universities, like Makerere University. Some of the hostels are really in a very horrible state, and now they need quite lots of funds for that to be possible. Now, of course, when I get to the estimations here, Parliament recommended Ministry of Education and Sports to harmonize with Minister of Finance the overall budgetary estimates for the sub-program for financial year 2023-2024, and together with Ministry of Public Service, the additional funding for salaries was allocated to avoid any wage shortfalls, that is during the year. Now, of course, some of the allocation in annual budget estimates, this will include wages for science teachers, harmonized. Now, Kampala City Council Authority was not allocated the additional 16 billion shillings, which are meant for science teachers. Of course, Kampala City Council Authority has schools in there. Now, we also see Parliament recommended that Ministry of Finance allocates an additional 14.1 billion towards completion of payments for phase 1 and operationalization, of course, and start of works for phase 2. Now, here we see that only about 0.50 billion allocated for payment of completion certificates, and no funds allocated, that is for operationalization, that is at the center. Quite so many here. Now, further, we see Parliament recommended still Minister of Finance to allocate, that is UBTM, an additional 17 billion in order to fast track the construction of the assessment center and procure, that is vehicle for field and containers full of examination storage to enable uptake. Of course, we are looking at the Uganda Business and Technical Examinations Board, UBTEB, in terms of that, when it comes to their funds, where the funds are going to be distributed from that. Yes, of course, they have to procure a vehicle for the field and containers for examination storage, of course, to enable full uptake of TVET by citizens throughout the country. Now, for this, only 2.217 billion Ugandan shillings was allocated for that cause. Now, Parliament still recommended Ministry of Finance, of course, to review the budget of the board by allocating funds for clearing areas, of course, got in the financial year 2021-2022. So you can imagine there were still some areas from 2021-2022, and of course, inclusive of 2020-2023, and of course, allocates the board additional 26 billion for the financial year 2023-2024 to enable the board execute its mandate providing loans and scholarships to Ugandan students who are unable to finance that is their higher education, and of course the allocation here is based at funding slightly adjusted to only 10 billion Ugandan shillings, which is quite inadequate according to the look of things here. Yes. Now, of course, we also had to look into the aspect of research funds, that is to the universities. Yes, of course, Parliament recommended still Minister of Finance to avail a grant of at least 2.5 billion Ugandan shillings to the public universities to be in position to support their research innovation function. Of course, given that research is a priority in this budget, most especially to institutes of higher learning.
Of course, research, there is no institution that doesn't involve themselves in research.
In research.
So definitely, I must say the allocation wasn't...
Actually, they added in some funds. Probably they may not be sufficient.
Let's give them a benefit of doubt, the fact that, of course, like you said, it's a program-based.
It's a program-based.
So the funds may be got elsewhere.
Sure. Absolutely. Maybe a supplement.
Definitely, the only challenge I see here is the fact that the new curriculum is affecting most of the private schools. Yes, why? It's quite costly.
Yeah.
You have to purchase books, equipment.
True, equipment, because it's practical.
It's more practical.
That is true.
You as a teacher or as a tutor or something, you have to make sure you read more. You have to research more, and of course, the capitation actually in the public schools, I must say, has reduced.
Okay.
The fact that there is this new curriculum, and of course, they're trying to make sure that they distribute the funds to different schools. And of course, I must say this actually favors public institutions of learning, and of course the private schools have come up and we're asking for your help, but of course it's on them. It's on them. Must say, and I feel that is why we are having cases of children still stuck at home. Why the fees is enormous. Every now and again, every term, at least 100,000 is added on.
Very true. Absolutely.
And of course, you cannot explain to the parent the new curriculum. They won't understand, of course.
But I think parents are getting to understand this curriculum.
They're getting to understand, but then the amount at which the fees is increased is troubling them. The fact that we are trying to, the economy is growing, so definitely it poses a huge challenges for the parents who have like many children
That is true.
And of course, the fact that people are embracing more private schools. They're leaving out the public schools, which Bonaba Some. I must say, please, if they improve on the public schools, definitely we shall have to go back in the years of our years where we focused more on public schools.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely. I say let them improve the public schools infrastructure, do whatever it needs so that we can have more children go to school. With when they can actually access free learning with maybe a minimal amount of money just for food and all facilitation, just little. Of course, other than, I don't know, we have to have a discussion actually on this, why more schools are opting, more parents are opting to take their children to private schools than public schools. Why is that?
Why is it that way?
I always ask myself why. So I need answers. I think I should say I need answers. But of course, I must say the education sector is lacking. It's actually lagging, and I must say a lot has to be done when it comes to education in Uganda. And of course, sciences. We know they're trying to push hard for sciences, and of course with the increment of their salary. A child goes to school and is like, I want to do sciences. So in the long run, they're inspiring the young ones.
Absolutely.
Because that huge percentage of A-levels, I must say that A-levels, most of them are into arts.
True.
So this could be a strategy for them to have more students to do sciences. So students are looking out for the easier way.
Yeah.
The easier way.
So arts are easy.
I want to finish and leave, but definitely do what you, and I believe they lack inspiration.
That's true. That is true. They need inspiration. They need to find purposes why they're doing what they're doing.
They need to find, you as a science teacher, as a science tutor or lecturer, what have you done to make these children love biology? You know, why is it interesting dissecting a frog and looking at the states and make them love the subject? Definitely. You will have more of the science students, and we shall have doctors, and of course with time we shall see these interns issues coming
in all the way. Well, it's 2 minutes to 8:30, and right about now let's get into the break. But before we get there, don't forget the markets on the Zabo platform, which are going to be opening. Actually, they have already opened as I speak right now. They open at exactly 8:15 a.m. and it will be running till all the way to 3:15 p.m. East African time, and this is going to be effective Monday. It's effective Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when these markets can't be accessed. But, well, at least despite that, we have the rest of the 5 days to capitalize and make yourself quite some huge lots of money as a result of trading stocks. And like I always say, this could be one of the ways you could offset your trade deficits just in case something happened throughout the week and well, the revenues didn't flow in as expected. And trading stocks could be one of the ways you can earn yourself a side income, and Zabo made this a reality regardless of the place where you're located. All you need is your mobile phone and that *292# and the rest will be history when it comes to your financial life. So Zabo made this a reality. There is no excuse as why you can't own a government bond in such a time in the 21st century. Now Zabo simply says my money, my future, and all Tech East Africa tells you do something new. Let's get into the break, and definitely when we return, we shall be having further business discussions. A very good morning.